Welcome back to another LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, no exception, the Steam Boxen is dead. Long live the Steam Boxen. Dying Light is out. Wow! It is really busted, and Super Tux Card Z82 brings the second beta. It includes a new register screen for creating online accounts. For what, you might ask?
It's no Tiger Woods Pro Tour 2007, but has Lee Carvalho's putting challenge been dethroned? Dragon Ball Z finally comes to Linux! Well, sort of. And Fahrenheit is an inferior system of measurement, and also Ass-pyre's secret sauce.
Starbound gets an update after more than a year. The 970 Saga resumes. We question a certain Ginger's allegiances, and Techland delivers on his promise. Can't really have an embargo on reviews if you don't give out review keys, right?
That's right. I'm Vince Stone here at LGC Actual, joined by our tamed Canadian podcaster, Massa Huang. Let's hear that war cry one more time, baby.
I'll harm you!
And all the way from space, Portugal.
Ladies
Pedro.
and gentlemen, we apologize to those headphone users of yours, because that one must have hurt.
LGC cares, ladies and gentlemen. Just remember that business.
No,
Before we get started in this crazy
I
business,
do
because I'm just going to
poetry
keep
for
talking
that.
over you until you
Fuck
stop.
you,
Isn't that
you
brilliant?
fucking
I
ruined
can
my
keep going.
reference.
My lungs are
Go fuck
bigger.
yourself.
Deal with it. Circular breathing. So, before we start doing this, we like to see what's going on in each other's life organs, starting with you since you're dead set on talking.
Oh, no, I don't even remember what the fuck I was going to say now.
All right, what's up, P-Man?
As usual, nothing much. It was actually a pretty busy week. We're at the company, we're actually consulting for IKEA now. Kind of a big deal.
Do they pay you in crappy Swedish furniture?
No, I'm actually getting paid a really reasonable amount. I mean, for
meatballs.
an intern, a whole lot of money.
Totally getting it.
Yeah, I mean, you get to go to the restaurant and eat all you want.
I know it's brilliant. Over here, I made a brilliant mistake.
Well,
Usually once a week, I'm the type of person who runs nightlies of CyanogenMod on my Nexus 10. And once a week, you always have that satisfying thing of do the update, pick the latest one, hit download, hit the reboot button, and verbally say YOLO and walk off. Then you come back. When I came back, I saw a very flat style, and I went, oh, shit, somebody just went from CM12, 11 to 12. Didn't install the G-apps for it. I had to use the browser, finally got that up and running, and that is what it actually makes with the working.
It works.
Yeah. So, and I can already hear the frantic typing. People saying, but don't you already know that you can just get an update from that? My first question to you is, why do you talk like that? That is insane. It's crazy. And
well,
it
no,
hurts my...
because you go to my school of Warcry, obviously.
That's brilliant. But this has got a very neat persistent root system, the way it's set up, because the SE Linux and the way it's enforcing things. I don't have to worry about losing root access every other update. And I gotta say, for something that's coming up on 3-year organs, it runs the lollipop just fine. But that does make us wonder about how's the horse running, J-Man?
The horse is dead! Long live the horse! It's our Steam
Linux
Update
of the week.
Oh man, this article is just so full of piss and vinegar. Mostly piss.
It's full of a lot of stuff. Facts might not be one of them, but this comes from Tech Radar. Everything you can find in our show notes. 5 reasons Valve's Steam Machine dream is still very alive.
Clickbait title much?
Let's start with number 1 here. The biggest Steam Machine launches, we all know that, GDC. Yeah. 2, speculation, Phronix level speculation.
Oh, no. Half-Life 3, Left 4 Dead 3, and Portal 3 could be released.
No.
Monkeys could fly out of my butt. Let me just write an article about
Michael
that.
Lirable is just golf clapping.
Oh,
he was like,
no.
No.
He's reading this article
Talking of Michael
in like a
Lirable,
big
at
comfy
this point,
chair. with a
The
bottle
degree
blue
of
Red
optimism in this article was enough to tickle my gag reflexes. As much as I want the Steam machines to succeed, and trust me, I really do, I don't think that this article's and, others of its ilk are as good as their writers seem to think they are.
But wait,
Because-
there's more.
There's more. More game developers
Yeah,
on board than
there's
ever
more.
before. Number 4, CMOS is free and may provide smoother gameplay than Windows,
See,
J-Man.
I doubt that. Not because I don't think Linux is the superior platform. I just doubt devs' ability to produce like properly optimized OpenGL code.
Yup.
But, number 5, Steam machines encourage competition in the market. It's time
Okay,
to
competition.
We'll see when the actual products start coming out, because we can speculate about that, but we don't know how the market's going to react.
I don't know. One of my biggest things about this is, and I mean, that's what's saying over here in the note organs, is, when they were talking about Half-Life 3, Left 4 Dead 3, and Portal 3, which is complete speculation on part of this blogger that had to fill some type of fuck-mothering quota.
Yep.
I don't see how that would directly translate into getting Steam machine sales up.
Yeah,
that would translate
I'll-
into me downloading Half-Life 3, Left 4 Dead 3, and Portal 3.
They've also mentioned that they're not going to make it an exclusive, so they're going to release it on every other fucking platform in existence too. So there's no
Yeah.
real reason to say Half-Life 3 will sell Steam machines, because it won't.
Yeah, at this point, looking at that article, it's kind of looking at Larabelle's picture on Phoronix. It just makes me want to kick someone's teeth in.
Well, I think what it
No,
kind of...
honestly, when Larabelle read this article, he was sitting in a big comfy chair with a big bottle of lube next to him. Just loved it
So-
that much.
well, I think what it boils down to at the end of the day, take that shot, is, for me, I already have my Steam box. I built it. It's done. What I'm waiting on is for this controller, because, just to be honest with you, I don't plan on playing first-person shooters, real-time strategy games. I plan on playing, multiplayer platformers and things like that.
yeah.
Right.
Action games, adventure games, that sort of stuff.
Well, let's kick off this next story.
Oh, I see what
Everybody
you did
was
there.
kung
Oh,
fu
this is Kings of
fighting.
Kung Fu, and I was really excited because
for
if you go to
Chucks.
the level, if you go to the
Show
player
title.
select screen, yeah. If you go to the
Those
player
kids
select
were
screen, I thought
fast
in the bottom there, I saw Chong Li from Bloodsport. Yeah, the second to the bottom left. But it's not. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme's ripoff, and it pisses me off. I wanted Chong Li from Bloodsport. It is a fighting game on Linux. Finally, it's not Skullgirls, but
About
the
time.
controllers.
We know it's
controls are
not
just
Skullgirls
completely-
because it's released.
That's true. Well. To be fair, this is early access. They did send us some keys for that. So
Yeah,
we
they
can
did
give it
send
a
some
download.
keys, but they have some weird graphic requirements, don't they?
Oh yes, I don't exactly know what an SM4 1 GB DRAM video card is, but the game does have Krillin as a playable character.
Yes,
I was expecting
yes,
that.
they do.
Yeah, like you're saying, they did send us some keys, and kind of what I'm looking at. I expected this just to be complete trash. 100%
Yes.
over my expectations. I mean, the work they
Yep.
have done on it, it's like somebody's actually trying to build a proper fighting game. The fighting is stiff. I mean, it's like Corpse Fighter, and there's going to be a lot of work.
Very,
to be done
very
on that.
much early access.
Right, and but they have a solid foundation. These guys tried to launch a Kickstarter last year, didn't really pull that off, so they're not technically double dipping doing the Steam access. So I'm gonna say good on them. What's the price organ on this, Brad? $7.99.
I'd wait till that
$7.99.
goes
It's
down to like
definitely-
maybe $2 if I was going to pick that up.
Hey, for an early access game, that's price to sell. Most of them are $9.99 or $19.99. That's But currently with the current build, the controls need tightening up badly.
Yeah.
I've had
No,
my ass stun locked because it never registers the block when I need it to.
Oh no,
Ever.
you can't block. Period. At all.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Also, the computer, for whatever reason, just goes so much faster than you,
It
so you can't actually
Kicks
effectively
your
dodge.
ass. It absolutely kicks your ass before you can even register a keystroke.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
You're already
It-
getting
it
your ass
really
kicked.
is.
All right.
I played that for about 5 minutes.
Up
Yeah, no.
next, It's out.
you're killing me then.
Light!
It's officially out. Wow, $59.99 like we were talking about last week. What is it? You've probably already heard of it. It is basically Dead Island with a new texture pack and some parkour business going on.
Dead Island in the city, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I bought this with my own money. I didn't use any of Shotrealm's donations and like this, so I got a personal investment in this because everyone was saying this thing runs like complete ass. Well, one of the reasons is it sets all the user processes to 19, and that's not very nice, and it doesn't unfuck that when you close the game. True story. It does. Well, let's see. Let's pull this up. Look at the business here. On the octo-core box, it was using half of all the cores, so right. Brilliantly multi-threaded, and that wouldn't be an issue if it managed to get over 40 fucking frames a second. But I have this little video card called a 980, right? If we're looking at right here, it's using 53% of my GPU utilization. I would call that brilliant coding, again, if we were getting something over 40 burps.
But is it using more than 3.5 gigs of VRAM?
Oh, we'll get into that a bit later.
Zing!
Here's the real kicker. At 1080p and at UHD 4K, same FERPs. So
that's impressive.
There's a bottleneck happening there. But
seriously,
there was
no desire to play. No desire at all to play Dead Island 2 Redux 2, the quickening.
Yeah. Yesterday, the 30th, there was supposedly an update that, according to what I've read, because I still haven't bought this game, because when I started reading about the problems, I went, nope. But yeah, according to some reports, there was an update that fixed some bugs, namely the Survivor Sense thing no longer has those yellow squares showing up all over the screen. And
that's
a couple of other bugs. It no longer sets the process, all your users' processes to 19 niceness. So I guess that's good. But the frames per second are still low, and your character still loses his contact lenses when you start running or jumping. So, yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. So, dolphins aren't the only thing that cry.
No, this is Raven's cry. It's a kind of different kind of cry.
Oh.
But
squawk, squawk, bam, bam.
But yeah, this is a pirate RPG of sorts from the creators of Two Worlds and Two Worlds 2. If you've never heard of those games, I don't blame you. They're mostly a shitty Oblivion ripoff. But they have a full game coming out right now. It costs $49.49 at 10% off. And the reviews are mostly negative, but the game literally just came out, and in the 3 hours after it came out, it had 2 1+ gigabytes updates already lined up. Make of that what you will.
I think it's going to be another one of these games that got released at like full AAA price, then within a year drops to like $5 on a Steam holiday sale.
What
so
about
by the time that actually happens, maybe they'll actually have fixed all
What about the DRM on Brad?
Yeah, that's the thing. The DRM,
there is some third-party DRM. Pedro says that it's optional. I've not actually played this game.
Yeah,
so
it does have third-party DRM. When you first start a game, you get prompted to insert your serial key. You can choose not to. It doesn't seem to lose any functionality at this point. I have no idea how that's going to work in the future, if they decide to release some DLC or not. But at this point, you don't have to enter the serial to start getting the activations.
With mostly negative reviews.
Like I said, this is going to be
that's what I said earlier.
It's going to be $5 by end of year. Interestingly enough, though, this is the same company that put out the Iron Sky video games on Steam, so maybe we'll get Iron Sky on Linux.
Hopefully, but it seems to be a native port from what people are saying in Linux_Gaming, the subreddit. It seems to be a native port. The performance is not very good, and from what I've read on the reviews, it's not worth the $49.49 at this point.
All right. Well,
Dun, dun, dun.
somebody
dun,
else who
dun, roll
contacted us
out.
this week.
Gear Out! Yeah, it's finally out of early access. It's the cartoony tank shooter type thing. It's a third-person shooter, basically, and only instead of some person running around, you drive a cartoony tank.
And it runs this time around.
Yeah, you might be kind of surprised, because if you've been a fan of the show for a while, you might know Gear Up. We've talked about it
has
long
a bit
enough.
of a turbulent
We've
history.
actually used it as an example of how games should not be released. But it kind of sort of works now. And
One thing I like about it, I mean, they're not trying to nickel and dime you. They're straight to the
yeah,
point.
they're really not. It's
You can play it for
priced to
free.
sell.
Absolutely.
Free to play.
If you want just a little bit of yellow swag, you can get the $9.99. It's 15% off now. It's going to give you unlimited storage organs.
$9.99.
If you really want the bag of Doritos to go along with your Mountain Dew, Brad, normally 20 quid, $16.99, and that's going to give you access to all the goodies. And I kind of like a structure like that where they're like, screw all everything. You can just buy everything if you want.
Yeah, and most of the stuff you have to pay actual money for are visual items. You can unlock some of the higher end guns earlier if you have paid for the game, but assuming that the weapons have been properly balanced, you won't be inferior to people who bought the special freemium things. Hopefully. But yeah,
you
there
will be
are still
inferior
a
to
couple of
us.
problems. Yeah. There are still a couple of problems. The full screen support is still kind of busted. But other than that, it works surprisingly well.
It's a true online multiplayer cross-platform pew tank the game. But J-Man, you were having some problems with achieving things in your life, weren't you?
Oh yeah, no. This game, Dark Gates, that's just racist.
It's totally racist.
So something bugs me about this genre of games that seems to be coming out. According to the people who wrote this game, Dark Gates is a game that tries to capture the classic tabletop RPG experience. I have a problem with that. You can do all sorts of shit in a tabletop RPG. If you're trying to like port those rules to PC game, you're going to be able to do a lot less. And this seems like an excuse to just look like absolute shit. I mean, what? You want to play a game with, it's like a tabletop RPG with a graphical level of fucking map tools or traits, and the ability to do half the crap you could in just a regular freeform RPG. Roll20.thing is a net, people. It's free. Go join a fucking tabletop game already if you want this. Don't pay money for it. But, like Ven said, you can't get achievements on this game if you're on 32-bit. That is...
Yeah, you really can't. And at this point,
also, if you have an old CRT monitor that's a bit below 800 by 600, you cannot.
Yeah, I was looking at this game, and all of a sudden, look, Vulture for NetHack. It's an isometric 2D sort of engine for the old school
Actually,
NetHack.
that's getting released on Steam for money.
Yeah, I saw that coming up on Steam, and I'm like, so who the hell's buying Dark Gates at this point?
No, you can just yum install that shit. That's packaged on most distributions.
Yeah.
That's like when I saw NextWheeze on Steam. That was just weird. It's like I can compile this myself. But anyways,
Speaking of stuff that hasn't released updates in a while, Starbound, ladies and gentlemen, the huge winter update.
Well, what is it? I've never heard of it.
So this is Starbound. If you don't know what it is basically
It's
Terraria.
It's Terraria in space.
Literally, it is just Terraria in space. You get a spaceship. It starts off with your character being stuck on said spaceship because it broke, and then you have to go down to the planet, find some fuel, and get it running. And then you can go on to other planets and explore and everything else. But yeah, this game has been in early access for nearly a year and a half. It spent more than a year without getting a single fucking update, and now they do.
Well, the one thing I definitely wanted to ask, and I think P-Man was right back with me on that, because I think this game seems to have a nasty habit of noping all your save games every single time they do an update.
Every single update. This one is no exception.
And I was thinking
Well, I mean,
maybe the first priority I might come up with for my engine would maybe fix that little bug. I don't know.
Just a bit.
I don't know. I mean, like, back when Minecraft was in beta, it would delete all your worlds whenever there was a major update. And this is a major version update. It's going from beta to final. So it makes sense that your save games wouldn't get carried over. I hope that's not the pattern for every subsequent update, but that's up to the
That's
devs
the
to start
thing. There's no confirmation that this will be the final update. It's still very much in early access. And only just now have they introduced the ability to rebind keys through the GUI.
Yay,
It's
Pedro can finally
2015,
play.
people. 2015. Also, they cocked up the Linux version because pushing play,
yes.
if you download the new version on Steam, pushing play doesn't work. You have to go to the folder to which Steam downloaded the game, edit the launcher_launcher.sh. Yeah, that's the technical level we're dealing with here. So instead of it launching the launcher, you launch the game itself. And I actually opened the launch_launcher file yesterday, and I was looking at it, and it was full of LD variables and LD commands, and I'm like, what the hell? Most of this can be, replaced by a CD, dir name, $0.
Which they must have access to our show notes because they released an update this evening that actually changed the script
weird.
to that. The weirdest thing though is even with the fix, the launcher does not work because it fails on some GCB QT error. But if you just launch the game from the command line, it works without a hitch.
Well, all I'm hearing is that Starbound is not necessarily par for the course.
No, it really isn't. And
yes.
after 1 year in early access,
what
what
we're
the
missing on Linux? Golf games.
Yes.
And this is perfect golf. This is it's a golf game. If you like golf games, this is for you. It's $20, and it is early access. But I mean, it's no Curse of the Nordic Cove. I have to say that. What makes Perfect Golf different? The creative director of the game is a PGA golf professional. Geo-reference course giving real-world sun angles. So basically, it's a hyper-realistic golf simulator backed by someone who actually plays golf professionally. So it's going to be good stuff.
But do you hit the golf ball with a straight stick?
It is no Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2007,
Oh, get
where
off
you
my
can fight
damn
as Tiger
lawn.
Woods and his wife.
Get off my damn lawn. You mean Lee Cavallo's putting challenge. Simpsons, baby. Simpsons. But
You switched to one wood.
this quick's, what do we got? 19. Yeah,
$20.
But it's
Far too
multiplayer.
much.
Actually, that might make for a fun players. Come on, think about it.
It might. Like I said, if you're into golf games, apparently this is fairly well received. So if golfing is your thing, check this game out. It's on Linux.
No, I'm with George Carley on this one. Golf is a freaking elitist sport.
I play golf.
No,
Fuck off.
fuck you then.
Fuck all you. Coming up next, we finally address the NVIDIA addressing space issue.
But
Again.
before that, we have a Patreon update. Woo!
Oh, that's
New
brilliant.
segment.
Boom.
Woo! Who gave us money this week?
Let's see.
We are making $52.21 per episode. This is
Yep.
ridiculous.
It's pretty wild stuff, man. We've already blown through our first three milestones.
milestones.
Yeah, that's good.
Next week, man, we get Sandy.
I know it's frightening. I genuinely
Andy
just
Martin.
had the thing pop up, and I sent J-Man and I am is just like fuck, and he's like, yeah, I saw Sandy thing too.
But the fine folks who backed us this past week are Tech Talk Today from JupiterBroadcasting.com.
Yeah,
AKA Chris Fisher.
Chris is throwing in, so we got both halves of that business coming in. Check out that at JupiterBroadcasting.com. Give them a nice little plug for that business. Also, Truggleswick kicked in, but Stephen McLaughlin and Cody Cooper from Podnuts Daily, they threw that business in. So, and along with David.
Dave, Dave's not here, man.
Dave's not here, Brad.
Yeah.
But remember, if you
Dave's dead,
if
man.
you get $1 into that Patreon, you get early access to our after show videos. We're bringing them back.
We are.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good deal right there. You got to say that. At $250,
Let's get membership in the Super Squad.
Right.
That's always good.
And remember, Chicago kicks ass. We have 2 subscribers.
2 of them.
It's brilliant. All right. So, how about we do some news, German?
Why don't we? I don't really have anything better to do.
Yep. You knew it was coming. It's the news section. And while we're not in true LGC fashion starting with a driver per se, we are talking about the NVIDIA GTX 970 because it's still there. It's still an issue. Yeah, so if you were paying attention to the podcast last week, or if you haven't been living under a rock for the past week or the past 2 weeks, you know that there's something wrong with the 970s. And me, myself, and I, as owners of a GTX 970 Strix from Asus, I feel personally affected by this issue. But the guys at PC actually ran a full set of benchmarks, and they actually got in touch with the NVIDIA guys. You see that smiling face over there? That's the guy that Ryan Shroud talked to, and he said, yeah, one of the L2 cache blocks was actually disabled on the 970, which is causing the last 500 megabytes of memory to work at 1/8 of the speed. So yeah, instead of 150 gigabytes per second memory bandwidth, you get 19, 18 on a good day. So yeah. Then
the handy image really does help illustrate the issue if you go back to
that. Yeah.
There's gonna be a link to it in the show notes as well, so you can check that out.
Well, it keeps on going. NVIDIA plans a driver update for the GTX 970 memory issue.
Precisely, but that's where it gets interesting, because they themselves say that it's the operating system that gets to decide what gets to go into the VRAM and what doesn't. So maybe the driver will help. In theory, it could, but we still have to see that, because there was actually an NVIDIA dev on the NVIDIA forums that said, yeah, we're working on a new driver to make sure that the 970 doesn't allocate as often to the 500 meg segment that it has. We still don't have any news on when that driver is coming out, but maybe they'll be able to do it. But then PC again, Ryan Shroud, posted another article with actual benchmarks, and they tested was Call of Duty the new one and the new Battlefield on the 970s. Yeah, and
running at 2K, it looks like.
Yeah, the 2K, and they actually had 4K, and they used the dynamic super resolution on Windows to go from 4K to like 6K resolution. And yeah, you can see the performance drops are very much there, but they're sort of in line with what NVIDIA was saying that happened with the 980. And then when it gets to the end of the article, Ryan Shroud literally says, this is inconclusive. And he goes through an entire tirade, and the last 2 paragraphs are as follows. Is it possible that
you were not reading 2 paragraphs?
Yeah, I'm not reading 2 paragraphs, just the highlighted versions I have here. Is it possible that it might do so for games in the future? Yes. Do I think that it's likely most gamers will come across these cases? I honestly not. Really, Ryan? Because as games, as technology progresses, you might actually start hitting those 4 gigabytes because, hey, games are becoming more demanding, perhaps. But
how about that new standardized 4K resolution that everyone's slowly migrating to? That's going to be awesome when everyone's on that.
I don't know. I mean, basically go ahead.
The last paragraph says, but realistically, I don't see many people with access to a wide array of different GPU hardware changing their opinion on the product itself. Well, shithead, no wonder. If you have shit tons of hardware to test things on, who's going to fucking care if the 970 doesn't perform as well as advertised because, hey, you got a 970, you have a 295X. Yeah, you're not going to care that that specific one doesn't work as advertised.
Actually, and you brought up a good point in the segment in between, the Patreon update and now. This really screws over Linux users quite a bit because we're getting more and more demanding AAA games that are going to require 4 gigs of VRAM to run at good high settings. And if you're on Linux, you basically have NVIDIA or fuck all.
Well,
yeah, I mean, you really have no alternatives.
Intel with their OpenGL 3.3.
It's brilliant. I mean, it's perfectly good, valid sauce. No, but if you're wondering, maybe you don't understand all this video card mumbo jumbo. To put this as a car analogy, #/dot. This is like Tesla coming out with a car that says, all right, it gets 400 clicks of range. And you buy that. All right, it's brilliant. Love it. I get 400 clicks. But you get up to 350, but those last 50 kilometers, you can only drive at 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, so, I think that's a fairly apt analogy. But you know who has a lot of faith in their product, much like NVIDIA?
Yeah, Warner Brothers does not, because, hey, it's Dying Light, developed by Techland, published by Warner Brothers. And they literally said, hey, we're not going to have any review embargoes. But then they didn't release any review copies like before the 12-hour period between the game coming out and being available to the beta testers. So no one could have a review out at that point. It's as simple as that. This article we're showing here comes from Forbes. As usual, you can find the links in the show notes. And they literally say that. It's Warner Brothers did not release the review keys until around 12 hours before the game was to be available to the public.
Well, the thing I was reading into that is, part of like the brand deals, they got access to it, but you might be like, what's a brand deal, Vin? Well, other Vin, let me tell you, that's basically like a YouTuber or a streamer or anything else. That is contractually obligated to say very nice things about the game. So
I know it really does show that Warner Brothers has full faith in their ability to release a good game, and as we could see from Total Biscuit, it's an awesome game.
Yeah, this isn't the first time they've done that either. It's with Shadows of Mordor a while back. They did the exact same thing. You could not.
That wasn't even a while back. That was like a month ago.
Yeah, you couldn't even get a key unless you agreed to do sort of a YouTube video speaking favorably of the whole Nemesis mechanic that they had going on. Here's what you do. Like, Eva Net Niage style, you just add the subliminal, just disparaging on this fucking game. Yeah. And according to Total Biscuit, like Jordan mentioned earlier, according to him, he was running the game just fine, like 48 hours before the game came out, because he actually managed to get some really, really early keys for the game. And when the final version came out 12 hours before the game officially was released, the frame rate got cut in half.
Well, here's a conspiracy theory for you, Brad. What if they went, oh, wait, we need to cripple the PC performance so it'll be more in line with that of the PlayStation 4.
Conspiracy theory.
Up next.
You never know. Oh, yeah.
Ass-pyre.
I like measuring temperature by comparing it to the freezing and boiling point of brine, but so does Ass-pyre, and they've released Fahrenheit, aka Indigo Prophecy, remastered on iOS, Mac, and Linux, as well as PC.
Woo!
Or Windows, rather, should I say. So this game is essentially a giant chain of QuickTime events, one after another, but it tells a very interesting story from what I hear. It was fairly well reviewed back when it was out on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. And there was a lot of good media about it, so I'm a bit excited that it's actually out. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it, though, because it is just QuickTime event after QuickTime event, but it is uncensored, so I wonder if there'll be QuickTime event boobs.
Well, I mean, if you're watching this business right here, for the video. They, you know.
Oh, no, that's clever. I didn't realize you could do the slider thing on
Yeah,
their
they got a
site.
little slider here, and I'm kind of disappointed with this, just slightly, because they've not redid any of the models. They've clearly just
No. They just upres the textures. That's
upres the textures a little sharper. Nothing crazy. Now, here's something I want to try. No. Where's the buy button? Buy now. See if I can buy it from Game Agent. Is Game Agent working now?
We're
Nope.
back. Something more. Nope.
So, oops.
So it'll probably be out. Is it out on Steam by now?
It's already out on Steam. I think it's like $9.99. So
Yeah, so go pick
in
it up.
the
Again,
US,
Ass-pyre does
$8.99 in
amazing work, and we do want to keep them in business.
and that's one of the things
So
I'm kind of
give 'em-
disappointed about is seeing the something broke business, because
Yeah.
it always
You
helps
want
out
to
if you
give them
buy
all
it.
the money.
Right. Buy it through Game Agent. But, you know,
But
gone
yeah,
home.
it's David Cage, don't you know? It's David Cage. He's trying to promote a very feeling. It's got the feelings.
What the hell are you
Ah,
even
Pedro.
trying to
All
do?
right. E-Speed.
What the fuck? Yes, the EP128.25 is out. Everyone's favorite Final Fantasy Tactics emulator has been released. They have a whole host of updates. Chiefly is the ability to run games now without having a ripped BIOS from the PlayStation. They've also fixed some multi-bin format in the Windows version. They've added a couple new formats, and they've fixed the CD-ROM decoder so that a bunch of new games will work.
That
Apparently
actually,
they
using
the
Pulse
BIOS
yet?
thing makes me a bit happy, because, I mean, unless you had a JTAG and all that and you were going to dump it, you had to go to some sketchy-ass sites most of the time in order to get...
They do say that compatibility is a bit limited as they work on of supporting more and more games, but it's good that they've actually managed to jump over that hurdle.
Yeah,
guys,
so I have a question. I tried playing Final Fantasy VIII a while back on EPXE, PCSXE, and it was still
Why?
using the
Did you have a sudden
ALSA
urge to play
plugin.
Triple Triad?
It was using the ALSA plugin, so whenever some major thing happened or like a cutscene kicked in, the ALSA plugin would start underrunning, and buffer underruns are something I don't like very much. Is it using Pulse yet?
I don't know, but I think also is doing you a favor by telling you to not play Final Fantasy VIII.
I kind of like that game a lot.
All right.
Yeah.
Mega
Glass. Yes, okay. So everyone's favorite strategy engine that no one freaking uses also has a new release, version 3.11 zip. And they add some health bar options, a Pine Rock tile set, attack
Brilliant. Been waiting
boosts,
on that.
fixes. CPU players and multiplayer are now disabled in debug view. You can have non-commandable units, all sorts of good stuff if you want to build a real-time strategy game using Mega Glass, which I think that one game is. What is it like? I can't even remember the name of it.
I don't remember.
I can't remember the name of it either.
But I mean, it does add the Star Trek shaky cam effects, so that's always good. But speaking of open source games,
Our favorite speed
Okay.
racist returns. Super Tux Scott,
yes.
Z82, Beta 2, and Project. Let's make a track together, baby.
let's build the snowman. We can make it our best
All
friend.
right. Basically, what they've done with this business, they've sorted out the graphic card detection, implemented a new register screen, which should make it easier to see if you're creating a new online account. For what reason, I don't know. Apparently, leaderboards.
Leaderboards. Yeah.
Right.
Leaderboards, yeah.
There's the super competitive Super Tux Kart scene. They're fucking vicious,
There's
man. You don't want to get them
something they want to get together. They want the community to kind of show them how to make tracks. So, drop the base on that business.
That's good. I mean, you want to get community to add content to the game. It really does help extend the life cycle. I mean, look at Skyrim. I mean, the modding community. For that is
Yeah. But so they're really doing track editing now? I remember playing Revolt on Wine, and the track editor already worked for a long time.
No,
now.
Pedro, they've had a track editor for some time. They're now doing instructional videos to show you how to do it, and this is why you shouldn't get sauced.
All right, that's not very clear in this article that they wrote here.
It really isn't, but again, this is basically just dumping. Here's what we did on the page. I mean, I guess I'd compare it to Mega Gillespie's post, but that was just basically
Right. The binaries, they're available. I downloaded it, never got a chance to play it today, but remember, it's still
compiling. It's fairly easy. Just
It builds.
make sure
right.
As long as
just
it
make sure you
builds,
have
it
the
probably
game data
works.
in the same folder, in like the same parent
Yep.
folder as you have the binary for the engine, and there you go. Coming up next, we take a grim look at Double Fine, and maybe not see something we don't want to see. I don't know. What did that sentence even mean? I don't know. Find out next.
We need to pay some bills, Ben.
Yeah, you know what? I got a great idea for a truck dating site. Trucker
what's it
dating
called?
site.
What's it called, Brad?
It's called trucker.biz.
.biz? Oh,
Got biz. Give it the biz.
well, what do people do on this magnificent site?
Well, if you know, when you're in the middle of a long trip of changing gears and murdering prostitutes, sometimes you get a little lonely and you want to meet like-minded individuals. So I think this is a good site to facilitate that.
Possibly. I mean, so you've already registered your bitching domain name, though, correct?
I have, but I just need to find some hosting.
P-Man,
Don't know who to turn to.
It seems like maybe we could we help?
Yeah,
you?
we could. Perhaps I know a guy, he's kind of scaly. He likes to wear sunglasses or fart leaves every now and again. He seems cool, though. It's snappy.
Look at Schnappy. We're talking about HostGator right now because they're bringing this business to you, kicking us a few quid if you kick them a few. Unlimited web hosting, unlimited disk space, unlimited bandwidth, easy control panel. Try that demo. Look at it. It's brilliant. 99.9% uptime at 20% off, starting at $3.96 a month. They got regular hosting, VPS hosting, dedicated hosting, even if you want to be your own host. And J-Man, all this is starting at 20% off.
If only there was some sort of magical, miraculous coupon that I could sell my firstborn.
Summon
in order to
moon
get some sort
magic!
of money discount.
Oh, no.
That's the wrong thing. It's 3 chairs of awesome.
Yes, that's LinuxGameCast. Offer code of Seasonist. Enter LinuxGameCast FTW. That's for the winners and not for the win. That helps us out. We get a few quid out of that business.
And you get 25, not 20, but 25% off your hosting. Kind of awesome.
Oh my god. For sure we'll beat the communists with that kind of pricing. And Double Fine has been so kind as to give us some keys for their fancy schmancy re-released Grim Fandango Remastered. Of course, yeah, developed by Double Fine, originally developed by LucasArts, back when Tim Schafer worked for those guys, running on a custom engine, or whatever the hell it was running way back when. And you can pick it up for $16.99 wet stinkies. What is it? Something's rotten in the land of the dead. Really, you think? And you're being played for a sucker. Meet Manny Cavalera. No relation to Max, as in Roots, Bloody Roots Cavalera. A travel agent for the Department of Death. He sells luxury packages to souls for the 4-year journey to eternal rest. But there's trouble in paradise. Help Manny untangle himself from a conspiracy that threatens his very salvation by pointing and clicking and clicking and pointing. And of course, it faces, in order to pass to the afterlife, of course, it must face the CHAIRQUISITION. 1 chair means that it's crap, 2 chairs means that it's meh, 3 chairs means that it's pretty good, and 4 chairs means that it's amazing. So, we also have our categories of doom mixed with the working shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So let's kick this off. This little dance of death we do every week. Then did it make with the working?
Over here in Vinland, on the Ubuntu 1404 LTS 980 powered 4K displayed box of business with the octo-core goodness. It did all right, Brad. I'll give it that. But here's something maybe you might want to correct me if I'm right, because I do remember this. We had early access to this. Full disclosure, it started downloading during the after show last week, so last Sunday morning. That first iteration before the first patch had some graphic options in it.
I don't recall seeing that. It just sort of You launch the game and it just sort of kicks into
I
it.
remember just poking around
Yeah.
because I'm always like, yeah, let's see what I can do. After the patch, that shit got noped. Outside of that, I did run into one bug twice. The first time, it was talking to the skeleton secretary business, and the mouse cursor just noped. Keyboard went unresponsive. I was like, escape, whatever, fuck all. And that was before the patch. Then after the patch, I had it happen one more time. But I was able to go back, load the save game, Bob's your uncle, and all that business. So, for makes with a working, I'm going to give it 3 cheers. Mainly because, that's not a big issue, but I would also like to see some video options in that business as well. Like they kind of were there, if I kind of remember beforehand, J-Man.
I think you're just drunk. On the Fedora 20 64-bit powered NVIDIA 670 superclocked AMD 1090Ti box of by my footness here. Yeah, I mean, it ran. There weren't any options, but I don't recall if there... Well, I never actually played this game back in the day. Back in I don't know, 1998 was it, I think?
Mm-hmm.
8. Yeah.
Yeah, so... I honestly don't recall if there were any graphics options for the game back then. Here, not so much. You just sort of start it up, and then I guess taking a cue from something like Brazil, it just sort of goes right into the story with a cutscene, and then you just start playing the game. So from that regard, everything worked fine. 4 chairs.
Yeah, the last update actually broke the menu. The options are actually still there. If you click randomly around the pause screen, you'll find them. But
Which options? The video options, audio
the
options?
screen resolution, the controller, the controls things, everything. If you push the S key, you just see the save game. But if you click around, you'll actually be able to find the rest of the options. They're still very much there. You just can't see
PS
them.
Glock 78, suck it.
But yeah,
maybe they're ghost options.
On the Amiga, aka the FX8370E with the frickin' GTX 970 Strix.
Did it use more than 3.5 gigs of RAM?
It did not. It did not. In fact, it didn't even go above 1 gig. So there is very much that bug. And that makes me want to get a chair. 3 chairs.
All right, so that's 3 chairs for Makes with the Working. Up next, Shiny and Sounds. Ven, what did you see on the other side?
Oh, look, Brad. 4x3 goodness. Now, granted, they upped the 3D models to a higher resolution, textures, and all that, and they added some lighting effects that were not there in the original sauce. But, here, tell me, that doesn't look a bit fucked.
Just a bit.
They didn't bother to redo the backgrounds at all. It's still in 4x3, and, you got Mr. Reaper Brad over here chilling out. And then you got this. It's not even cut in very well. This is probably a bad example, but yeah, that I found just a bit jarring. Honestly, I felt if you hit backspace at any time, it goes back to low-res mode. I kind of enjoyed that because I didn't have like these glaring remastered objects and all that, but I'll get into that business a bit later, like sticking out. And I was like, we'll just play it like this. Voice acting, like the original game back from 1998. Brilliant, loved it, well done, well acted. And the same goes for the soundtrack. I mean, I'd never paid it any attention way back when, but I liked it. It was a good bit of neat sauce. So, for the graphics, I mean, maybe I expected more from something that threw itself out there and says it's remastered. And I was like, you kind of just redid the 3D texture shit. It looks a bit weird. I'm going to have to give this 2 chairs. J-Man.
I dig the art style of this. Again, this is me coming into the game completely clean. completely fresh, no previous preconceptions. I like the art style. I like the whole Mexican stylized undead thing. It fits, and it also helps that the main character is some flavor of Hispanic. They never really go into depth about that, as far as I saw. Anyways, actually, going back to that screenshot Ven posted, I actually kind of like what they did with the living world. It looks all distorted and whatnot. It makes sense if you were like a Grim Reaper or something. I don't know.
It looked a hell of a lot better in 1998, though.
I'm sure it did. I don't know. Whenever I see 4x3 in like a game, my brain just sort of starts ignoring like minor graphical things. I didn't actually notice the resolution texture offset until someone mentioned it, just because I wasn't really paying that close of attention. But I guess it didn't really bother me. It a little jarring, yeah. And the voice acting, again, top notch, good stuff. I think it deserves 3 chairs just based on that.
Yeah. Okay, I get that the original art assets were designed for a 4x3 screen, and since they didn't really bother to up-res the backgrounds, they had to keep it. But now that you get everything in a nice, at least 1080p or 4K if you're Ven, everything looks...
Oh yeah,
everything just looks out of place.
Could you imagine playing that in 4K in like a tiny fucking panel in like the middle of the screen?
Yeah, everything just looks out of place. The characters look like they're standing in front of a green screen, and it's a hell of a lot easier to find a thing that you need to progress, because it probably is in a higher res than the rest of the backdrop. The whole Spanish accent thing they have going on, I like it. There's actually localized Portuguese translation. It sounds kind of Brazilian, but it has a very distinct Spanish accent to it, and I don't hate it. Still, the backdrops and the whole contrast thing they have going on, it's pretty jarring, so I'm going to have to give it 2 chairs. The voice acting is great, but it's not very good.
So 2 chairs for Shining Sounds. Up next is Control. Oh my god, the nuance. Ven, tell him about it.
The subtlety you need for this. Actually, you just need to pull out your gerbil, your EP and extender, whatever, the blue LEDs, because that's the new sauce these days. You point, you click, and you wait.
That's your uncle?
If you double click, it actually runs faster.
Wow, that should have been a tooltip. Can't fault it for that. A controller organ support would have been nice, but no such thing. Not digging at a chair for that, but 4 chairs. Can't fuck that business up, J-Man.
I mean, the only way I could see the game like this sort of working with a controller is if you have like a sort of Wiimote setup. But really, this game is you point and you click. That's about as in-depth as it goes. And you can double click if you want to hurry up. And yeah, that's about it. 4 chairs.
Yeah, what Jordan said, basically. You throw in some proper controller support, which, hey, it's double fine. They figured out SDL too, so which means this thing, it worked. The NVIDIA Shield controller...
point and click game?
Yeah, the NVIDIA Shield controller, it sort of works if I use Aaron Plattner's thing. So yeah, you've got a Steam Machine ready game right here. 4 chairs.
All right, so that's 4 chairs for Control. That wasn't too hard. And finally, Odin. Ben, did you enjoy yourself?
Okay. This game was released in 1998. Let's be honest with ourselves. By that time, I had Linus's organ so far down my throat, my eyes watered. Seriously, I was demanding ports back in 98. So why aren't they native? And you wonder why I get a bit nippy when people talk about rappers are just as good, and I was like, dying of fire. So, fast forward.
You got some pubic hair in your teeth, man.
Fast forward 17 years, and I finally get my native port of this game that I've never been able to play. Kind of excited about that, and 17 years ago, it would have been really hard to convince myself. I was like, not only are you getting a native port of this game, but Double Fine's going to send it to you for your Linux gaming show that you have. And I was like, what? Okay. So, let's remember that I do have no nostalgia spectacles on at all. Never played this. Maybe that would help people out. But all I'm thinking is, man, people had some proper attention spans 17 years ago. Because things, now that I know you can double click maybe to speed that up, it's like, come on, do this. And I was like, squirrel thing. What? Oh, right, we're doing a review. And the remaster, that made finding things so hella easy. It's like, what should we click on? The background image that has not been upscaled or upresed, or that shiny 3D object-looking thing? I'm going to put my money on that one, Brad. I definitely am. So after 40 minutes of solid gameplay, it didn't hook me in the slightest. I'm sad to say that, because I remember watching people, on the TVs, on the tech TVs and all that business back in the day. They were showing clips. It's like, that's amazing. And it didn't really translate all these years later. And again, full disclaimer, I do not have the nostalgia spectacles to look through, so I'm going to say for fun, this business is going to get 2 chairs. J-Man, what do you got for me?
So both of you bring up this really weird issue I find, where it's like it's easy to find the various objects strewn about the world that you need to pick up. Now, if you go back and play King's Quest, the objects you can pick up are very clearly labeled. Like, they all sparkle or have like some outline or something. And that's usually how it should be in adventure games, unless you're doing one of these hidden object ones. So I don't think I don't really see that as a valid complaint for this sort of game. But whatever. I never really played this game back in the day, as I said multiple times, so I have no particular attachment to it. And point-and-click adventure games really don't do it for me. I get really bored with it quickly. I'll go look at a walkthrough, read through it, and be like, okay, so that's what happens. I'm going to go take a nap. I'm sure if you're a fan of the original, this is like amazing, awesome sauce. This is what you've been waiting for in terms of an updated Grim Fandango. But for me, it doesn't really do much. I'll give it 2 chairs because it's not horrible. The acting's pretty good, and I got a couple chuckles out of me. So,
yeah. Here's the thing. I do have the nostalgia glasses because I played it back in 1998, 1999, around that time. I still very much remember playing this game, and the moment I started it, the muscle memory with the mouse kind of clicked in. Oh, I remember what I need to do here. It's just go here, go here, go here. What I don't remember, though, is the game being this clunky. It feels very clunky. Granted, meeting Salvador Limones, the game's interpretation of Che Guevara, was still just as awesome as I remembered. But I guess point-and-click adventure games kind of died out for a reason. And no matter how thick your nostalgia glasses are, and mine are pretty thick, even Grim Fandango hasn't... It really hasn't aged properly. It's still a great story, but the whole gameplay aspect of the thing is very clunky. And this is a game we're reviewing. Double Fine, I'm sorry. You released a really awesome game in 1998, but it's 2015 now, and it really doesn't hold up. For me, it only gets 2 chairs for the fun.
2 chairs for fun, and 2 chairs total. Pedro points out it's 1 chair short of being totally 3 chairs. So, as I see Magumbo came in, he can at least take solace in the fact that Grim Fandango Remastered rated about the same as Retro Booster.
Hey, Retro Booster, 2 chairs.
Yeah. So, Pedro, Ben, final thoughts?
I guess at the end of the day, what I'm going to say with this, I think this one clocks in at 14.99 wet stinky cashes.
$15, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a bit steep for what you're getting. It is, because really your remastered is doing the 3D models, and you end up with some very jarring effects. Like, your inventory looks, wow, that's really sharp, your character's really sharp, and all that. But outside of that, it's like, okay. Story's still there. I can see how that could be interesting. Like I said, 40 minutes in, 2015, point and click. It's a hard sell for that price. Maybe if you catch it at 50% off, definitely put some of this business inside your face organ. You might like it, even if you're like me, with no previous experience with this particular game. B-Man?
Yeah, it was a really good game. We're talking 1998. This thing kind of revolutionized the whole point-and-click adventure scene, because what other competition did you have back then? It was the Sierra games, and they were all using the same shitty engine.
King's Quest 97.
Yeah, it was not very good, and again, back in its day, it was literally
it's almost
the
like
best.
a playable movie.
Yeah, it is. And nowadays, you got stuff like Fahrenheit coming out for Linux, but we'll get to that in a later podcast.
You know, one thing, I hate to interject, I just thought about this. Something I think, like even back in 1998, there was not, you couldn't instantly jump onto the tubes and find your walkthroughs and guides.
Nope.
So something like this actually made you spend some time trying to sort
to figure it out.
Yeah, so some of the chains of events you have to go through are fairly convoluted, and you wouldn't get it on a first pass.
Yeah, which is why I said back in the day it was a very, very good game, and it's great.
Now everyone has the muscle memory. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, and it's great that you can legally update it digitally. You know, you go on Steam, you can buy it now.
LucasArts is toast.
Yeah, you can get it legally. You don't have to go to the Pirate Bay and download the ISO or the DOSBox thing. You can just get it. Just don't expect to be blown away, because it is very much a 90s point-and-click adventure game. Keep that in mind.
All right, so that is that. Grim Fandango, Grim Fan Mango. Coming up next, Hate Mail.
It's the Hate Mail, ladies and gentlemen.
That's an awesome
it's
transition.
my favorite segment of the entire LinuxGameCast weekly podcast, because not only do I get to present it to you lovely folks at home or in Chat Realm Dynamic, because hey, if you're not watching us live, you really should be. It's pound LGC-weekly on Freenode. Just go there. We're your business, if you know what I mean. But hey, it's the Hate Mail. And as usual, if you'd like to get in touch with us, go on over to LinuxGameCast.com, push the contact button on the nav bar, fill out the form, let us know what you think, give us some feedback, give us something. If you're trying to promote some sort of gaming project you've got going on, make sure to include a demo, alpha, beta, prototype, some Steam keys for early access, anything. Just let us play your game, and we'll be happy to feature it. Because if you're not, we're going to fuck your ass.
And you know, someone actually did read the instructions this week, but we'll get to that in a bit. Coming up first, Truggleswick, one of our latest Patreon backers, says, we need a new milestone goal, Pedro redundancy package. Replace him with a bimbo with big tits that doesn't even own a desktop, just plays Facebook games on her iPhone while we're recording, but she's super hot. So we were talking about this in the break. I think next year we're going to go to the CES. We're going to hit up the AVN awards.
Well, we're going to do that, but I got 2 points for that. A, that is completely fucking sexist. I don't appreciate that. B, point number 2, I honestly believe Dwayne Johnson is a bit out of our price reach, so don't get your hopes up. Can you
smell what the Rock is cooking?
No.
Yes, I can.
Monster Cameron has a special note for Space Portugal. He writes, AMD, bitch, I told you to get the R9 290, to which Pedro responds.
Yeah, I actually replied to him in that very same thread, and I said, bitch, I wanted performance, not fucking headaches. Look what good that did me.
Because you surely didn't want all the RAM.
Yeah, I really did not. 4 gigs, who the hell needs that? Isn't that right, Ryan Shrout? Fucker.
All right.
Johnny Coles is up. He has some words to say about Motorbike. He says, hilarious review, and I agree with some of the criticisms, but I happen to really enjoy playing this game. Just mute the audio and listen to Slayer. Listen, we understand that repeated head trauma can cause hallucinations and sensations of euphoria, but please, please, please go see a doctor and give us money on Patreon.
Yeah, at this point, there's really, you have Metro for Linux, you have even Dying Light. Why? Why would you be subjecting yourself to frickin' Motorbike?
I don't know. I'm not necessarily on TV, but it is a fantastically frustrating game. So,
you know, if you want to have the sensation of stabbing yourself in the urethra with an ice pick without having the balls to actually go through with it, Motorbike might sort of fill that niche.
Yeah,
but
might
finally,
do it.
someone actually follows the fucking instructions.
Oh yeah, Mr. Andrew from. Well, he's probably one of the devs from Star Traders 4X Empires, and
which is the most creative name for a game.
I have no idea what that game could possibly be about.
Very descriptive indeed. He says that we're excited to announce that we have just launched a native Linux port of Star Traders 4X Empires to Steam. We'd love to talk about the Linux porting process, more games we're bringing to Linux, or help with any kind of review or game casting. The Linux port has 100% feature parity with the Windows release, and will be receiving weekly updates with new features and content. Good on you, man! You actually managed to read what we've been saying.
They said those keys.
3 keys.
Yep.
So, for your trouble, yeah, Star Traders, here it is. Free plan. Right now it's $9.99. And
$9.99.
What is it, Brad?
Cheaper.
You never heard about it? Take command of humanity's last survivors and rebuild an empire among the star organs. This immersive turn-based strategy game era. Reviews are mixed, so take that with a grain of salt, organ.
Did any of you check it out? Because I sure as hell did.
I did not.
Yeah.
It does require...
I don't like 4X games, to be perfectly honest.
OpenGL 2.0, no operating system required, so...
You just need... No, you don't even need glibc OS. You just need OpenGL installed on your hard drive. Brilliant. These guys are truly technological wizards with their descriptive game titles and whatnot.
Indeed.
But we might take you up on talking about, how you got the game ported and all that. Because that's something we're probably going to be bringing in, because we have actually a lot of people that we know in relatively high up places that we should just bring on the show, because hey, if you ever want to talk to us, scream in our direction.
Yeah. No problem with that. So,
on that bombshell, let's cue the music.
Song.
ZOMG, really. I'm Vin Stone, screaming in your direction live every Saturday night around 9:30 Eastern Standard Moon Time. At Vin Stone, cleverly disguised on the Twitter nets, plus Vin Stone on the G pluses, and my partners in crime organs.
I'm Jordan Svung, and I don't particularly scream, but I just get really uncomfortably close and talk at you right in your face at The Burning Fool on Twitter, or plus Jordan Svung on Google+.
And apparently has a brain fart while doing his outro thing. I, on the other hand, am Pedro Mateos. You can find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter, or plus Pedro Mateos on Google+.
So I guess all that's left at the end of
part, by the way.
day, beautiful party people, is just to remind Pedro that his parents don't really love him, and they're glad he's out of the house.
And he's adopted.
Hey man, I am glad I'm out of the house. About freaking time.
And next week he's back with his parents.
Yeah, I was really unemployed for a hell of a long time.
And you will be in the future.